So a few days ago, I made a tutorial where I showed you guys how to add glare in compositing, and I had this sort of like lamp post that I made to demonstrate that. Well, a lot of you want to learn how to make that lamp post. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how we can make this lamp post. You can see here, it's going to look like this. Now, one thing to keep in mind, I will cover the materials and the lighting towards the end, but that's something I'm going to do a little bit quicker. The main focus here is really the modeling. So don't try to complain too much if I go a little bit faster towards the end of the materials. I will cover it, but the main focus here is actually modeling this. Now, the really cool thing, the techniques I'm going to show you are actually really simple. So this is a beginner-friendly modeling exercise, and you can see here, just very simple modeling techniques to get these sort of results. We're going to have this nice sort of detail in the actual lamp post itself, and these little kind of curls. And this could be a fantastic asset, so maybe like one of your game projects or your scenes or something. So yeah, if you want to learn how to make this, let's jump in. And for those of you supporting the channel on Patreon, as always, you'll be getting access to this blend file. But if you're not on Patreon, you can still watch this and make this lamp completely for free using Blender. So let's get started and make this lamp in Blender. So in a new scene in Blender, we're gonna go ahead and select all the default objects and press delete. And let's go Shift A, let's go to Mesh Options and just add in a circle. And what we're going to do is we're just going to tab into edit mode, and in your front orthographic view, just press 1 on your number pad. It'll take you to the front orthographic view. Just select the very left vertex here from your left, okay? And you'll see it's that one right there in the front view. And then you're going to go Control I or Command I. And that'll select everything else. So it's like an inverse. And then you can press X and just delete those verts. So all you have, I don't know if you can see it, it's just this one little vertex here. So go over to your modifiers, add modifier, click on search, and type in screw, and just get the screw modifier. And now you can see it spins it out as a circle. So with this single vertex active, just tab, I guess not tab, but go into your front orthographic view by pressing 1 on your number pad. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go E, and we're going to extrude it out like this to the side. And then we're going to go E to extrude up a little bit, and we're just kind of making a little bit of a bend. So I'm just keep pressing E and moving it, E and moving it. So we have sort of like this lip. And then from here, we're going to kind of flange it out like this. Okay, there we go, out this direction. Keep going up. So you see we're making like a nice sort of flange, just going up, extrude again, and then E to extrude. And now we're going to start rounding it out. So I'm going to keep extruding like so, and then we're going to get to about here, and then we're going to go E to extrude up a little bit, and then E to extrude up a little bit again, and then from here we're going to make one of those rounds again like we did at the bottom, but a bit of a smaller one. So I'm just extruding it, and then over here we're just extruding up, and it starts to kind of like taper to a point like this. And then over here, just kind of where the sort of like little spokes are going to be attached to, so we're going to go E to extrude, and we're going to extrude out and just kind of make like a rounded little shape up here like this, and then come back, and then we flatten it kind of out by bringing that in like that. So you can kind of go G, X, and just move it till it's very close. And you can enable merge here, and it'll merge that together. And then you can select the bottom vertex again, and in your front view, you can just go E to extrude, and I don't know if you can see this, but we're just extruding that in just to kind of close that hole. But you don't have to close that one all the way. It doesn't actually matter because that's going to be covered by something. Okay, so there we have it. We have this shape now, very easy. And we're going to tab back out, and we're going to go Shift D to duplicate and Z and bring that guy down, because we're going to have another one here at the bottom, about here. And then you're going to tab into edit mode, and with this one, it's so easy because now we can just enable proportional editing, and you can come over here, and you can go G to grab a vertex, and you can kind of just move it in the front orthographic view. And now you can change the shape a little bit and maybe kind of make it a bit wider here. There we go. Now we kind of change it a bit. Now we have a bottom bit here. So what we can do now is kind of connect these two. So we're going to go Shift A. We're going to go to Mesh Options, add in a circle again. And what we'll do is we'll go tab into edit mode with the circle selected, and if it's easier for you, just go G, Z, move it down a bit. Turn off the proportional editing, and with all of this active, you're just going to go and hit F3 on your keyboard and type in checker, and do a checker deselect, and then it'll select every second one, and then go S just to scale it in, and then click. Then press A to select everything and go Control Shift B. So Control Shift B and it'll bevel those verts. And let's bevel them about that much. Roll the middle mouse button once and then click. And now we can go move this guy up a little bit and then go E to extrude down. I'm going to extrude this guy down all the way to the bottom post and then go S just to scale it up at the bottom like that. And over here, we'll just maybe scale that one a little bit smaller. So this is kind of what we have. Then you can tab back out. You can right click and go shade smooth. And then let's go over to our modifiers tab with this guy. Under the modifiers, just type in sub and give this a subdivision surface. And now it's nice and smooth. And go ahead if you want and add a subdivision surface to these other guys as well. Now it also depends if you want it lower poly or not, but for me, so I'm just going to go ahead and give them both a subdivision surface, but that's optional. I think it'll still be okay, especially if it's only going to be in the background. There's no point giving it this sort of high topology. For me, this is something I want to see sort of close up, so I'm going to go ahead and just give it a subdiv. But there you go. Now we have this sort of like bottom shape. And already this shape looks really detailed and it wasn't that complex to make at all. So we're making some really good progress here, okay? And just for a quick thing so you notice, if you select both of these objects at the same time, you can also tab into edit mode and select these guys at the same time and move them down. And that kind of gives you a great way of controlling the height of it as well. So it's very controllable. So now let's make the little spokes, which are not hard at all. So we're going to go into our front view. We're going to go Shift A. We're going to go to curve options, add in a Bezier curve. Let's go G, Z, and move that curve so it sits here at the top. Tab into edit mode, and then just select curve and inside of edit mode, the handles, and just press delete and delete those vertices, okay? Doesn't make any sense, but we're in our front orthographic view, so we can now go over to our draw tool here for the curve under the tools. And we're going to come here and just draw like this and go up and then kind of bend down. And then we're going to come up here and then we're just going to kind of curve it like that, making this sort of shape. Okay. If it's not perfect, just go ahead, get the move tool, get your proportional editing. And at this point, you can just grab these handles and with proportional editing, you can always adjust it. You can make the shape whatever you need it to be. So don't worry too much about getting the drawing exactly the same way I did. Just kind of adjust it so you kind of get this sort of shape going, okay? Really, really cool stuff. Very nice and sort of like decorative sort of feature. Okay, then from here, we're gonna tab back out into object mode. And then let's go over to our object data properties. Under our geometry, we're gonna go down to the bevel and let's give it some depth. It's going to give it some thickness. We're going to go with something like this. And at the moment, you can obviously notice the issue here. But if we tab back into edit mode and we select the end of this curve handle, so the very end one, and we go Alt S, and we have proportional editing enabled. So Alt S, we can just scale that handle and roll the middle mouse button to increase the influence. And then we can kind of make that more pointy. And we can grab these guys here as well, Alt S. And you can always adjust the handle slightly if you need to. There we go. So now that's looking really cool. So we're going to tab back out. Now we have this guy over here. I might just make it a little bit taller. There we go. And I might just scale them a little bit thicker. So yeah, you can mess around with this all you want. There's not really any sort of right or wrong way. You can look at some references that can really help you out. But you know, it's just sort of like this decorative sort of like curve. It goes up like this. Then what we can do is, because our origin point sits in the middle here, because we just moved our Bezier curve up, what we can do is we can actually come to our top view. We can come here and change, I guess you don't need to change it to 3D cursor because the origin point is in the middle. But what we want to do, we want to select it and we want to go Shift D to duplicate and then R90 and hit enter. And then go Shift R just to repeat that action 2 more times. So Shift R, Shift R. And now we have this. Okay. If you want to, you can grab them all, holding in Shift, select one of them and go Control J, and that joins it all together. So now it's one object like this. We'll get back to that in a bit. But for now, we're going to go Shift A. We're going to go over to our mesh options, add in a cube. And we're going to go G, Z, and actually, what did I do? I was going to rotate this, so just select this guy here quickly and just go RZ45 and then hit enter. And now that's kind of more, that should have worked. What am I doing here? Just kind of go RZ and rotate it till it's kind of like, looks like this from the front, okay? You don't have to, you can always leave it so it kind of looks like this, like we had it, but I just want it kind of like this from the front. There we go. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this cube, I'm gonna go G, Z, and just drop it till it sits at the top here, like that. And so each one of the cube corners is sitting on top of one of these, okay? Then tab into edit mode and then just select this top face. Go G, Z, move that guy up. I'm going to just turn off proportional editing, by the way. And then go S to scale it up like so. And once again, there's no real set size on this. They all look a little bit different, but something like that looks good. And you could also grab this base and widen it a little bit if you want. And the cool thing is, let's say you want to match it. You just go back into object mode, select these curves, and you can just grab all of them and you can just press S by itself to scale them and move them out, and then G, Z, move them down. So you kind of have that flexibility here to still make adjustments, so don't worry too much, okay? You can always tab into here, you can always select them, go Alt S and make everything a little bit thicker. You still have all of that ability to do that. So now with this guy selected, I like the size of this. I might make it just a little bit taller. There we go. We can actually tab back out and we're gonna go Shift D to duplicate this guy, right click to let go, but we still have it active. Then go to your modifiers, add modifier, search, and type in wire, and get to wireframe. And then let's give it some thickness, like so. Then go add, search, and get a bevel, and give it a bevel modifier. And then under the bevel modifier here, just give it some more segments, and then mess around with the thickness here. There we go. So now we have that sort of frame. Now let's select the inside one again, tab into edit mode, and let's just select the top face here and go E to extrude and Z and extrude it up into Z to about here. Click S to scale it in so we have something that looks like this. Perfect, there we go. And then what we're gonna do is we'll actually just select these bottom faces in here in edit mode, and we can go P and separate the selection, tab back out. So this is just its own object here at the top. And then we're gonna grab this guy here, we're gonna go Shift D to duplicate and Z and move him up till he's sitting at the top here. And what we're gonna do is with this guy selected, we're gonna go over to our modifiers, and under the screw, we're just gonna come here and mess around with the rotation or the resolution here. So we want it to be, let's go have a look at that. We also want to get rid of the subdivision surface. So we want this guy to be 4, a resolution of 4. And then in the top view, just go R and rotate that till it kind of lines up like this as well. And you can also just scale this guy down a bit, move him down. And now inside of edit mode, you can always come here with your editing, make it vertex select, proportional editing, and you can come here and just use your proportional editing tool. Make sure to roll the middle mouse button and just adjust the shape of this like so. And now you can just kind of make this sort of like top decorative feature, which just kind of really adds to this, as you can see here. I'm gonna kind of bring it here. Tab back out, but you guys kind of get the idea. So looking pretty cool. Somehow I rotated it. Oh, I see what I did. Okay, that's my bad. So what I'm gonna do, I shouldn't have, I didn't realize I shouldn't have rotated that yet. I should have just left it so it's looking straight on like this. So if you've made that mistake, you can just kind of flatten it on the Y or just undo it, but you kind of get the idea. You just want to get that profile first from the front like this. This is sort of like optional. You don't have to go crazy with this. You just kind of get the basic idea. Okay, there we go, that's looking better. And then maybe bring this in a little bit like so and bring this down. But anyway, you get the idea. So once you've done that, and then in the top view, you can go ahead and rotate it like that. And you can also go ahead and just give it a bevel. And there we go, that's looking a lot better. Okay, cool. So don't spend too much time on that. But you get the idea. So now we have that top feature there, and it's looking really, really good. And that's almost pretty much our lamp. What we can do now is just select the glass bit, tab into edit mode, and just select the bottom face, X and delete that face. And then what we can do is tab back out, and let's go Shift A, let's go to our mesh options, just add in a cylinder. G, Z moves that guy up, S to scale, and just move it down in here a bit. And inside of edit mode, you can just select the bottom face and delete it. And then just extrude the top face out, like so. And then over here, you can go Shift A, just add in a UV sphere in edit mode. So it's still inside of the edit mode context here. And then just scale this guy down, and then S, Z, and scale it up on the Z like so. And now you kind of have like sort of like a light bulb sitting in here. So you can kind of adjust it to wherever you want. So I'm going to tab back out, right click and go shade smooth. So here we have our lamppost. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select this guy here. I'm going to apply everything. I'm going to do the same thing with this. Everything I'm just going to apply. This over here. I'm going to just select the top bit. I'm going to go ahead and apply that. Anything that has a modifier, I'm going to go ahead and apply. Okay, so these guys here though, because they're curves, we actually need to convert them. So just select them and press F3, convert, and let's convert that to a mesh. So now they're mesh. So make sure anything that has a modifier is applied, and then select everything, and then holding in Shift, select the bottom guy over here and go Control J and join it all together like so. And now we have this cool lamppost. And there's one more thing I forgot. Shift A, just quickly add in a circle. Just tab into edit mode with that circle and kind of extrude it up and make sort of like a cone, which you extrude up again. Something like that. There we go. Tab back out, and so just a very simple shape, don't overthink it. And then what you can do is you can just take that guy to the top and place it right over here, maybe make it a bit taller. There we go, it kind of sits here at the top. This is optional, so you don't have to do this, but you kind of get the idea. It sits right there. And then you can select this guy and change this to 3D cursor. In the top view, you can just go Shift D to duplicate, R90, hit enter, and then just Shift R to repeat that 2 more times. And that's what you can do. But anyway, I'm going to grab these guys as well and just join them to the rest by going Control J. So there we have it. Obviously, if we go Shift A and add in a cube, you can see this thing's massive. So let's just scale it down till it's roughly that big relative to the default cube. There we go. And then go Control A and apply the scale, apply the rotation and the location. So now we have this guy over here. So if you want to, you can go Shift A, you can add in a camera, and I'm gonna have the camera kind of coming from the front and maybe coming from here. And I might just rotate. Then I'm gonna go Shift A and just add in a plane, bring that up, move it kind of back, scale that guy up like so. It's just adding in a background plane. And then I'm just going to my render settings and changing it to cycles. And I like to use my GPU, and then under the max samples, I'm just going to set it to 45. And you can go Shift A, just add in sort of like an area light, move it up, rotate it like so. Go over to your object data properties for the light, give it maybe a power of 300, increase the size. And then you can go Z and go render it, and you can kind of see this is what the lamp looks like. Okay. So add in as much or as little lighting as you want. Completely up to you. But what we could do here, and I don't want to spend too much time on the materials, but you can simply just select a lamp, go to your materials, go new, call this lamp, and then you can kind of give it like sort of like a darker kind of greeny kind of color. And yeah, if you go Z and go rendered, you can see this. Then you can go plus, create a new material, and let's change the surface to glass. There we go. Tab into edit mode, and then just select a face on this glass. Go Control L to select the whole thing. and then assign that glass, and then just bring that roughness down. Let's just call this glass. There we go. And then what you can do is you can actually just select this guy over here, the inside bit, go plus, go assign, go new. So you've assigned a new material. Let's change this one to emission, give it a strength of 12, and let's make it a little bit more sort of orangey. And then if you go Z and go rendered, you should be able to see it's now glowing in there. Now obviously you could add some glare and compositing, which is really going to add to it. And I've already done a tutorial on that on my channel. So you guys can go look at that. But what we could do here is to make this look a little bit better is go into our shading workspace. And this just needs a little bit of roughness. And in our shading workspace, we can just do a little bit of work here to make it look better with the roughness. So let's just select the lamp, make sure we got our lamp material selected. And over here, we're just gonna go Shift A, search and get a noise, grab a noise texture, and let's plug the roughness or the factor here into the roughness. And Shift A, search, let's get a bump node. And let's plug the factor into the height there and the normal into the normal principled. And what we could do is go Shift A, search and get a ramp, place it before here. And now these, we can drive these two a little bit better. So we can up the contrast. So let's drag these two kind of together and see what we get. There we go. You can see we're kind of getting a little bit more of a pattern here. Let's take the detail up to 12 and the roughness will drag up as well. And let's make it a bit more metallic here. And I might just make this value a little bit darker. There we go. And that's kind of looking pretty cool. Definitely has a lot more detail to it now. A little bit more grunge. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. And what we can do as well is feed that into another ramp over here and feed that into the base color. And then you have a way of also kind of like adjusting the color of the lamppost a little bit. So maybe add a little bit of sort of like rust in here as well. And I think that's looking a lot better, as you can see. Very nice. So yeah, that's kind of it. I guess you could also grab this sort of same node setup here and just right click and go copy. And optionally, you can go to your glass and you could kind of paste it in here and then kind of add this to the roughness. And you know, that kind of adds something to it as well. Makes it look a little bit, makes it look a little bit more lived, I guess, a little bit more worn. But you know, you take your time with it and let's go ahead, render and just render the image. And there we have it, that's looking really nice. I guess I'll quickly just cover the compositing. You can go over to your compositing, use the nodes, and then what you could do is you can just go Shift A, search and get a glare node, place it on here. And then just change it from streaks to fog glow. And then just you can mess around with the size of the glow, I guess. And that's it. So now you have a nice bit of a glow here, and you could also play around with the threshold to make it more intense. But yeah, that's kind of how you can do this. So I really hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. I will be uploading this to my Patreon. I'll see you guys next time, and thank you for watching. I will be uploading this blend file to my Patreon, so I'll see you guys next time, and thank you for watching.